Let me jump to these stories here. The first from Daily Mail. Quote, use low-yield nuclear weapons. Russia-appointed official in Kherson calls for tough action from Moscow and urges the country defense minister Sergei Shoigu to shoot himself amid frustration at Ukrainian fightback. We also have this story from Reuters. Kadyrov says Russia should use low-yield nuclear weapon. So they're outright saying, use the nukes. This is interesting because I feel like nuclear war, man, if there's anything that would happen, that would make a great reset happen, it would be nuclear bombs dropping. But the question is this, what's happening in Ukraine going to affect the entire planet, or is it going to stay regional? Is it going to become something that forces the West to get involved? Or does Ukraine just get, win or lose? I don't know.
When nukes come into play, I don't see how the whole world doesn't get involved. I mean, I guess one thing that does make me nervous is where's China in all this? When the nukes start flying, what does China do?
Well, sit back and laugh.
Well, yeah, they could, I guess, and just watch us commit suicide.
Annex a huge part of Eastern Russia.
Yeah.
Watch out for that.
Well, Kissinger had some interesting comments about China and how they're looking at everything that's happening right now. We also have to understand that Ukraine and China were very big trading partners, and there's a lot of economic interests that the Chinese have inside of Ukraine. So this could be one reason why they kind of stepped back a little bit. But according to Henry Kissinger, the Chinese gave the Russians a blank check when it came to this conflict right now. I'm not really seeing it. But I think it's in their interest for themselves to be like, you know what, we're just going to take a step back as you two guys beat each other up, and we're going to rise as a potential superpower, or try to rise as a potential superpower.
Well, that's the art of war, right? Never interrupt your enemies when they're destroying each other.
Yes, and there's been a lot of historical tensions between Russia and China. They have started to work closer together, especially with the United States becoming more aggressive against both of them. They started to share a lot of military secrets. They started to build a lot of military infrastructure together. But historically, they've been at odds, even when it comes to specific territory that they were threatening each other with just a few decades ago.
The Intercept report that I saw earlier, I think Michael Tracy was tweeting about it. I mean, that was just a kick in the balls.
What was it?
That the U.S. is operating officially. U.S. Special Operations and Intelligence are operating in Ukraine. So, that's it. They this is the game they play. The U.S. and NATO, they didn't come out outright and say, we're going to engage in war with Russia. They dropped news periodically. First, it was like, well, some people volunteered. It just so happens they're Americans. Then it's, well, we're giving weapons to, Poland, and it's being delivered to Ukraine, but it's not us. And then the U.S. intelligence helped Ukraine blow up the Russian Black Sea Fleet flagship, and then said, oh, well, we didn't tell them to do that. Now the U.S. is saying, well, yeah, we do have special operations on the ground that are ours, and our intelligence has been operating there. I'm going to tell you this. They're blaming Ukraine for the assassination of Dugin's daughter. Yeah. How long? Give it a week, 2 weeks, a month before they're like, oh, yeah, we actually ordered that. Yeah. Or at first they're going to say, we gave them the information on where Dugin would be, but we didn't know that would happen. And then a month later, it's going to be like, yeah, it was us.
So basically what the United States is doing is handing someone a gun and saying, we're going to point it exactly where you're going to kill this opponent. And the only thing they're not doing is pulling the trigger.
That's not true anymore. But
some people, as you would argue, they're doing even more than just pulling the trigger.
Well, it's like this.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah. No. Here's what it is. All right. So Joel, you're fighting with your neighbor, and so I'm like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you this glass bottle. All right. Now you got that, but you know what? Actually, Luke used to work for me. Luke, you go do it. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
It starts with people are like, they used to be soldiers for the U.S. Army, but now it's just their choice to go there.
Right.
And then they have weapons that get supplied by NATO, and then eventually they're just like, yeah, they're paying us. So we're involved.
At what point does everyone figure out that just, when do we eliminate the middleman and just go direct at each other?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Look, just
is that what this is all
Biden,
about? I mean,
if Joe Biden wants my respect, he'll come out and be like, my fellow Americans, of course we're at war with Russia. What are you, stupid? You don't think U.S. boots on the ground, funding, supplies, intelligence, and war? You think that does not imply that we are fighting Russia? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
But these, I think what you get from Twitter and from the media is you can really see these psychotic fascist journalists will say whatever to keep regular people trapped in the dark.
Right.
They'll call you fake news, they'll lie, they'll push conspiracy theories, and then claim it's you doing that. Projection is the only thing they have. And the best part is they accuse everyone else of projecting when it's quite literally them projecting.
Yeah.
They're the fascists supporting the machine and supporting the war. Now we're facing the prospect of getting hit by a nuke. So I guess, for you guys, have you guys bought your potassium iodide yet?
I had mine many years ago as I was warning about this on my YouTube channel saying, hey, we're headed towards a conflict with Russia. Like 10 years ago, I was making videos about this. I was like, geopolitically, everything's aligning, everything's shaping up. As of course, this is not the first proxy war that happened between the East and the West. We look at Syria, we look at Libya, we look at Afghanistan in the 1980s. The United States and the Russians have always been at odds with each other, always financing the enemy of the enemy. And this is nothing new. But now I think we have really escalated it to a dangerous situation that implicates everyone in it, including everyone that's not even fighting. Innocent human beings are being affected by this in more ways than one, not just financially.
But what about other countries? I mean,
Like Turkey, who's
Yeah,
a
exactly.
military
I was gonna tell you.
superpower. They're a nuclear superpower. They're a Russian neighbor. Russia
They're
cannot.
a NATO member.
Yeah, and they're in NATO, which is very strange. But Russia has no Mediterranean access with or without the annexation they're trying to approve without Turkey. So they have to be allies for this war to resolve in Russia's favor. But they're in NATO. What the hell's going on? They have nuclear weapons. What the hell is going on?
Oh, it's simple. Klaus Schwab had a meeting with Putin and Biden and said, we need to great reset everything. Let's
Yeah.
pretend to have a war. And they were like, okay, that'll give us an excuse to launch the nukes. And then, I'm kidding, by the way. But, hey, man, I can only say that Klaus Schwab is probably sitting back being like, this war is very good.
Yeah.
This war was inevitable. We need order.
Order.
Well, and how much of this too is driven just by the military industry? I mean, have we gotten to the point where just we always need some kind of a war? We had Iraq, we had Afghanistan, we got out of Afghanistan. Now it's Russia. After Russia, is it going to be something else? I mean, is it just a continual war machine where we're feeding this beast?
That's what Eisenhower told us it was going to be. And after Vietnam in the early 70s, there was just a slew of military actions. I'm very in the dark about it. It's just they're so obfuscated in the Balkans, obviously Serbia, Kosovo with in the Clinton years. I remember hearing about Serbia and Kosovo and Bosnia, there was just bombs going off. I never knew what was what, who was who. I just knew that we were involved in all this death. I think without conflict and places to blow up bombs with some sort of reason, whether it's fake or real, then the military industrial complex will cease to function.
Yes, sometimes I wonder if all this money being sent to Ukraine is kind of to help replace lost revenue from leaving Afghanistan and the Middle East.
It's like $100 billion on the books that have been sent over there in the middle of an economic recession. They've sent $100 billion to some country that we're not even allies with.
And then what happens? They buy weapons from who?
God knows. The Chinese, the Russians. I don't know where they're getting the
Probably
weapons.
us.
From
And they're buying
Boeing,
oil from us. It's our own money being given right back to us.
There's a
Laundering
reason
it.
there's a saying that war is a racket, because it is. And the only winners of the war are the people who finance the wars, the people who, of course, bankroll the sides and sell the arms and the weapons. Everyone else loses. There's no real winners in the war other than the people who profit off of it.
Military industrial complex grifting.
Yeah.
For them, it's like, we need to justify why we need more weapons. Let's get mad at somebody and claim they're bad.
Yeah.
And then go fight them.
Yeah.
First-
Ozzy Osbourne
well,
called
first-
them war pigs, right?
Well, first, the recent U.S. policy is, hey, we're going to give these guys a bunch of weapons. And then a couple years later, these are the bad guys. We got to fight these guys with all these weapons. Saddam Hussein, he has chemical weapons that we gave him to fight the Iranians.
Yeah.
The Syrians, they have all these weapons. They have all these Humvees and trucks with American businesses on the side of them. We got to go fight them. They're going to attack and kill us. The Libyans, Gaddafi, he's a very bad guy. We sold him a bunch of weapons, but he's a bad guy now. We got to take him out because he wants to do a gold dinar. It goes on and on and on. And I can never stop the Taliban.
Where are they
Yeah, we
selling
got to
all those
fight. We got to
weapons
fight the Russians in Afghanistan. We got to give them all the weapons. Oh no, the Taliban. Oh, they're bad now.
Yeah,
we got to go fight them.
I tweeted out a video of this guy who went to Afghanistan recently. This video on YouTube is called "Tourism in Taliban-Controlled Afghanistan." He went and he interviewed Taliban. He's like, "What do you think of Joe Biden?" And the older Taliban member who's doing the speaking was like, Joe Biden did a great job by leaving. We hope he never comes back. You can see he left us all this equipment that the Taliban is driving around on right now. We're very grateful for Joe Biden."
Oh, yeah. They love him. He's got a 98% approval rating over there in Afghanistan.
They call it Independence Day, the day 9/11 when we surrender.
really?
The Taliban calls it Independence Day.
Wow.
When we surrender,
The day that we surrendered to the Taliban.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah, we just spent $9 trillion making sure that we get, we replace the Taliban with the Taliban. Money well spent.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.